Tracker, number
Yes.
one show on television right now, network television. What did it feel like finding out you were going to have a recurring role on that show?
It was great. It came kind of out of nowhere. They just called me up and said, is this something that you would want to do? And I was initially supposed to do it earlier in the season, and I wasn't able to do it with a scheduling conflict. And so then they kind of came back to me with this other role that was more of a recurring, ongoing role. So it was great. It's always fun to go onto a show that's really popular and that people love, and you're just kind of walking into this very well-oiled machine, and that was really great. It's been fun. I'm still doing it ongoing, and we were filming in Vancouver. Now we're filming in Los Angeles, and so just started the fourth season, and so I've been back and forth a little bit doing that. So yeah, it's fun.
When you found out you were going to be on the show, did you know about the show? I'm sure you probably knew about the show, but did
Mhm.
you watch any previous episodes or seasons just to prepare, or did you want to go in with fresh eyes?
No, I mean, I always like to kind of know what I'm getting into just to understand the tone and the vibe of it. So yeah, I had seen it, and it was interesting because I did Reacher first, and then I kind of went straight into Tracker. So it was like I've kind of never really done. I've never really been in, and watch, I'm going to say this and then I'll remember something, but because I've been doing this for so long, I sometimes forget about all the things I've done, but I haven't done much in the action space. So it was kind of like Reacher was sort of like the first time I really did a show that was an action kind of show. And then right after went right into Tracker. So it's funny, kind of two back to back.
Can you tell us about the character Maxine on the show Tracker?
Well, Maxine is kind of a very, when I first read sort of my first episode, I just kind of assumed by the way she was written that she was bad, that she was up to no good, that there was some sort of ulterior motive or some kind of agenda that she was sort of looking to maybe take Fiona's character Renee down. And but no, she's not. She's kind of very much what you see is what you get. And she's very tough and smart and great at her job and really sort of a great support for Fiona's character. And we have a lot of fun together. And I think that it offers the show sort of a bit of levity and a little bit of a more personal storyline than just the straight ahead kind of action stuff. So yeah, so it's been good.
It's interesting you say that about the character because the whole entire time your character was on the show, I was waiting for her to drop the bomb.
I know, that's what everybody said.
Yeah,
Everyone was
and I was
like, no,
like, is
she's
this
bad, she's
she in the
bad,
gray
something's
area as a
bad.
character?
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I think that's what everybody thought, but nope. Elwood, the showrunner, had a different plan in store. So
Well, that's good to know because it's nice to see two strong female characters on screen not going at each other and
exactly.
helping
Yeah,
each other.
exactly. And I think that's what's nice about it. It's very much like two women who sort of see themselves in one another and sort of know the pitfalls and the sort of difficulties of how it is to navigate sort of personal life, professional life. And so, yeah, no, it's great.
You mentioned Fiona, and a large portion of your scenes are with her on the show. Can you talk
Yeah.
about working with her and working off of her on the series?
Oh, have you ever interviewed her?
Yes, I have. She's hilarious.
She's hilarious. I mean, honestly, like talk about somebody that immediately makes you feel kind of like you've known them for a million years, and that you just feel so safe and comfortable with them. It's always really it's always really daunting as an actor to go on to a pre-existing hit show. It's one of the hardest things really to do, I think. Um, because everybody knows each other and everybody's really comfortable, and so you're kind of going in as the new one, and she just couldn't have been more welcoming and more warm and fuzzy and fun. So she's just great. I really like her. And she's really talented too. really talented.
It's funny you say that because you have been in the business for a while and you've been on a bunch of shows, popular shows and stuff like that. And it's interesting to hear you say there was a little bit of intimidation still going on a show like that because I was going to talk about that later on, but it's interesting you say that.
Oh yeah, yeah. No, I think, it's interesting. I worked with Donald Sutherland on Swimming with Sharks, the show that I created, and Donald, I never thought in a million years we would get him for the role. I wrote it with him in mind, and when he said yes, I was just so thrilled. And when he came to set on his first day, he said to me, I didn't sleep well last night." And I said, "Why?" And he said, "Because I'm so nervous."
Wow.
And I said, "Why the hell? Like, you're Donald Sutherland. Why the hell would you be nervous doing my little show?" And he said, "Oh, it's just no matter what it is, no matter what I do as an actor, anytime you start on a new show and you go into a new environment, it's so daunting." And it really is. It's weird. And I don't know. Obviously for me, like my first big job as an actor was 90210, and
Mhm.
going on to that show, I mean, that was the biggest show in the world when I landed on it, and they were on the cover of Rolling Stone, and I was like just this kid from Hamilton, Ontario, and but I don't remember feeling as nervous about it as I probably should have.
Mhm.
I was so young that I just kind of was like, yep, I just walked in and did my thing, but yeah, you sort of, I think as you get older sometimes too, like it changes, like things change and, you
Mhm.
have good experiences on shows, but then you have, sometimes you do work on things that are not so easy. And so you kind of know the different versions of how it could go. So maybe that's part of it. I don't know.
One of my favorite actors of all time is Lance Henriksen, and he told me one thing about being a lead on a show. He's like, the lead on the show sets the example and sets the tone. So when he
Hmm.
has guest stars, he said even though if the person only has one line, he wants to make the person feel like they're welcomed on the show. That way,
Oh,
they do their
totally.
best work and you do your best work.
For sure. Yeah, for
And I've
sure.
heard that about Justin. Is Justin that way when you went on the show for Track
Yeah,
Club?
very much so. I had heard that about him as well, before I did the show. I had heard from multiple people, "Oh, it's a really nice," and people talk and like certain shows, "Oh, you don't want to go on this show," or "Oh, you don't want to work with this person." But he kind of has that reputation of being just a really kind, decent guy, and he really is. And yeah, it's funny. Ken Olin is one of the main directors and producers of that show. And I was talking to him on set the last time I was there, and he was laughing, and we were talking about acting versus writing versus directing versus producing. And he was like, "Oh, I have no interest in acting anymore." And I think he was very, he didn't realize how much I was doing in the writing space and that I was about, show running a new show. And I was telling him about running the writer's room, and he was like, "Oh my God, I can't believe that, you're doing that, but then you're still acting. Like, how do you?" And I said, "Oh, so, do you not miss acting anymore?" He's like, "Hell no, I don't miss it at all." And I said, "Oh, I love it still. I've been doing it for so long that there's something about acting for me that just feels very natural and very
Mhm.
kind of calming in a way."
I think you kind of touched on this a little bit. A final question about Tracker. So I'm assuming Maxine will be coming back for the fourth season. Anything you
Yeah.
tell us about her coming back?
Well, we've just kind of started, so it's early days, so I don't know too much yet, but I've been to LA and done a few so far, so TBD, we will see. Yeah.
Speaking of biggest show on network television, you're on Reacher now, which is probably the biggest show on Prime Video. Can you talk about joining that cast and what that character will be for that show?
Do you like the show? Have you watched it?
Love it.
Yeah, it's such a crazy show because I feel like it just It weirdly appeals to kind of everybody. Like women like it, of course men love it, but like it's age different age ranges. Yeah, it's great. It's kind of a, it's a really interesting show to go on to as an actor because Alan is the only sort of constant, every season it's him and then all new people.
Yep.
So it's almost like an anthology series in that way, where it's just like he's the constant and then he's surrounded by a brand new team every year and it was fun. It was also like again, like I said when we filmed in Washington, it's such a popular show and there's a lot of like secrecy around it and you can't you're not don't want to talk about the scripts, you can't really talk about which book, at the beginning everybody was wanting to know like what book is it? What book is it? And you couldn't really talk about much, anything. And so it was very it was fun. Like it was interesting for me because my character I play the wife of the congressman who's played by Mark Blucas, and my character Elsbeth Sampson is incredibly formidable, incredibly, she's almost gunning to be, it's almost like it's this political couple, and it's almost like we made this decision, which was that like, one of us is gonna run for president and really kind of go for this and shoot for the stars, and one of us is gonna take the back seat and basically make it our life's mission to help you achieve that. And that's sort of the dynamic of this power couple. So it was really interesting going kind of having to kind of go toe to toe with Alan and with Reacher, given I am very petite, 5'5", 5.5", and he's, Alan. So I asked for very high heel shoes at all times so I could at least be sort of close to his eye level. Um, But yeah, no, it was fun. And she's it's a fun character. She's very, very protective of her husband and of the world and the life that they have, and sort of is incredibly distrusting of Reacher when he sort of drops into their world and has to navigate that throughout the season. And then there's a lot of twists and turns that I, of course, can't say, but it's fun. It's really good.
I mean, I know we don't want to make it a political thing, but I'm sure there's a lot for you to draw from from stuff that happened in real life with all the scandals that are going on right now.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah. Yeah, for sure. For sure.
One of the descriptions I read describing your character is she plays an integral Lady Macbeth-like role in the season's unfolding political conspiracy. Would you agree with that assessment?
Well, that's interesting.
While preparing for this role, I was looking through some stuff about the show, and then I saw this quote. I'm like, huh, I'm going to answer that. That's pretty interesting.
Yeah, that's interesting. I'm not quite sure how that pertains, but maybe a little bit.
I think what I'm going to really look forward to with this show is the previous three seasons kind of took place in small towns, locales like that.
Hmm.
Season is going to be taken with Philadelphia and I think Washington D.C. So that's going to add a whole new element to the series.
Yeah. Yeah, very much so. I mean, I think this is kind of the biggest season that they've done in terms of the scope and scale and um I mean, yeah, the stunts are insane.
Did you get to do
Insane.
stunts?
And I'm lucky I didn't have to do any. I am not I'm not a stunt person. I don't love to do that kind of stuff.
Mhm.
So I'm not the most athletic human being on the planet. So I was happy to sit in my Chanel suits and my Christian Louboutin heels and dress down Alan Richson.
One thing I'm totally looking forward to is your new upcoming CBC series, Blessed Sacrament.
Blessed Sacrament, huh?
Yeah. What can you say about that? I know you're still early with that, but what can you say about that?
Yeah, so we're in pre-production. We start filming in January, so we have a little bit of time before we start filming, but It's a series that I created, and I'm also going to star in it, and I'm also show running it, and I'm also writing it.
Yeah,
So lots of hats, and yeah, it's about a family that works together at a hospital that was founded by their grandfather, and it was kind of loosely inspired for me on like I've always want 6 Feet Under was my favorite show of all time.
fantastic show.
It's
Yes,
my favorite show of
fantastic.
all time. And so I always sort of had this, I've sold a lot of different shows and worked on a lot of different projects. And my dream is all, it's always that thing where you're like, what's the show you would love to make though, above all? And I always would say, like, I would love to make my version of 6 Feet Under about a family that works together at this sort of, whatever the environment is. And so then I kind of had the idea of like, oh, well, it's very difficult to sell a 1 hour drama. What if it takes place in a hospital? And then I can sort of be like, it's a medical show, but it's not really a medical, it's much more of a family drama, but it takes place within this infrastructure of this hospital. So there's kind of a bigger succession piece to it, and it has sort of the stakes of this family sort of dynasty within it. So it kind of feels bigger in scope and scale than the intimacy of 6 Feet Under. But yeah, no, it's cool. We're starting to cast and meeting with actors and meeting with directors, and so yeah, it's awesome. Super fun.
I'm curious for you. You mentioned all the hats you're going to be wearing on this show. You wore like those hats as well with Swimming with Sharks, which still is underappreciated. I absolutely love that. I just did a
Thank
rewatch of it
you.
recently. Do you ever sometimes sit and say, maybe I just took on a little too much? You ever feel overwhelmed sometimes when you're working on those series?
I mean, I feel like I've done it before now, so I kind of feel like I know what I'm getting into, and
Gotcha.
it is an enormous amount of work, but I love it, and it's sort of, I think if it was I think, when you work on things like shows that you create or films that you work on, not as an actor, but as a creator, I think you really have to love them, or else it's just, you know, I get sent books.
Becomes work, if that makes
Oh
any
my
sense.
God. And it's
Yeah.
so much time. I mean, it's like, so Blessed Sacrament, we're going to start filming in January. It's now August. I sold it probably a year ago. So by the time we actually film, like I'll have been living with this project for almost 2 years. And then by the time we film and edit and it gets out into the universe and I'm sitting here talking to you about it, it'll be 3 years of your life. It's an enormous amount of time and energy. So you better love it.
How important has it been for you as an actor and now a creator to create your own projects and create your own work? How important has it been for you?
I think it's kind of been a natural evolution for me. Like it wasn't even something that I really, a lot of people ask me like, "Oh, how did you manage to kind of navigate it?" Because it's one thing to sort of say, "Oh, I'm an actor and I want to be a writer," or "Oh, I'm a director and I want to be an," it's and how do you sort of do it? And I guess the only thing I can say is I just don't think, you know, I think that you just have to sort of dive in and just kind of put your blinders on and not really think too much about how slim how slim the odds are that it's ever going to happen, because it's otherwise I think you just kind of get in your head about it. And so I'm just very I don't know, I think as I started acting when I was a kid, I was a child actor, like I think my superpower is I just have like a crazy work ethic. Like, you know, I just work really, really hard, and, yeah, I don't have to try to do it. It just is my inherent sort of DNA. Like I'm just the person that when my kids go to bed at night and my husband falls asleep, I'm the person that's like, okay, I'm gonna go into my office and write for 4 hours. Um, So yeah, I do really love it. I do really enjoy it, but um
You can hear it when you talk about it, and you can
yeah, I
see it
do
on your
really love
face when you
it.
talk about it.
I do really love it. Yeah, I do. So we'll see. We'll see how this next show goes.
one of the final questions for you kind of is I want to talk about you've been on some amazing shows, like you said, 90210 and Boss, which is another underappreciated show.
Hmm.
Um, but I want to talk a little bit about Murder in the First
Oh yeah.
because, again, I just did another rewatch of that and I watched it with my niece this time
Mm.
and absolutely loved that show. That cast was fantastic.
Yeah, I loved that show too. That
I
was,
loved when you guys live tweeted with us with the episodes. That was fantastic.
oh God, remember the days of live tweeting?
Yes.
Is any people don't do that anymore,
Oh,
correct?
yeah,
Do
absolutely.
they?
Yeah. Yeah. Like one of my favorite shows right now is From. I don't know if you've ever seen that show. And that cast live tweets with us every Sunday when that show's on.
Really?
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
I feel like so many people, and this is like shows probably where I'm not very not very savvy technologically, but I feel like Twitter like went through such a like nobody, I feel like I thought nobody really did it anymore.
The only reason we still use Twitter is because a lot of people that like the show before all the craziness happened with Twitter are still there. So we just do it for the live tweeting, but I don't mess with Twitter other than that.
Right. Okay. Okay.
Yeah. You're
Interesting.
not missing much.
Interesting. Okay.
But that show was just phenomenal.
Yeah, we
The
used to
cast,
love doing that. Yeah, that was fun. It was a great show. I love Tay. He's hilarious and we had a lot of fun together. But I think that was an interesting, that was an interesting show for me because we did we did it for three seasons and I was, you know, God, pretty much in every day, I worked my butt off on that show. And that was like a really good example of that thing that you said about really making sure that every guest star that comes in, because that was a very guest star heavy show. Every week there was like,
big
five,
time.
6 big guest stars that would come in and they would be big people. It would be like James Cromwell and, really massive, legit actors that you're like, oh my God, Richard Schiff and really kind of incredible people would come through the door to work with us on that show. And so, yeah, I really sort of feel like I got, I definitely have my 10,000 hours in this business in terms of just knowing what, how you want to navigate a set and how you want to treat people. And it is really hard for actors to kind of come in and out of environments. So you try as much as you can to be kind of, um, open and receptive and create a good energy for people.
One of my final questions for you is if Kathleen today could go back in time to that young child actor who stepped on set for the very first time as an professional actor, what
Mhm.
advice would you give to that young Kathleen back then, right now?
Oh God, get out. No, I'm just kidding. I would say, oh, you're enough. Just like feel it and appreciate it and don't focus so much on sort of what's next. Try to really be in the moment. I feel like if I could go back and do it all over again, like that's the only thing I feel like I wish I had known and was able to do, which is that like it's so hard when you're in it to really feel it and be in it because you're always thinking about like what's next, what's next. Oh, what if what if this doesn't go well or what if this doesn't happen or what if I never get another job or what if, you're always kind of it's such a fear-based industry and I wish I
Yeah.
could go back and kind of you know, um just really sort of like celebrate the wins a little bit more. I'm not very good at doing that. I'm not very good at being like, good job or like good work. I'm just kind of always like, okay, what's next? Like, okay, what are we doing, So I try to be like with my kids, I'm always kind of trying to remind them of that too, that like, to learn to be a good friend to yourself. It's like
Hmm.
a hard thing to do, but to be just like kind to yourself and, you know, not just go, 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 go.
It's interesting because a lot of people outside the industry who are just watching shows and like feel like a lot of people are like overnight successes, and that's not the case. And it's a difficult business. There's a lot of no's in
It's
this
all
business.
no's.
Yeah.
It's all no's. Yeah, it's all no's. And then you get one yes, and then that takes you for a bit and then it's nose and then you get a little bit and it's, and the thing about it that's the most kind of crazy is that like it just never ends. It doesn't
Yeah.
matter unless you're, top 0.5%. It's always kind of like every year you're starting basically at like going like, okay,
Pilot season.
I'm starting at zero. What's the year gonna be, And even when I mean, Fiona and I were talking about this, it's like Fiona's starring on the biggest show on television, but it's like that thing of like, okay, then when that's over, that like, oh, what's next, and you can have so much success, but it just is never. I was just listening to an interview the other day. The actress Brittany Allen that's on the pit, she's nominated for an Emmy. She's the actress that self-submitted and got
Hmm.
nominated. And Katie Couric was like, "So how are things going? Your career must be blowing up." And she basically was like, "No,
No, not really.
nobody seems to care that I have an Emmy nomination." And it's so true, It's just you got to just keep going
You
and
mentioned
enjoy it.
you mentioned Blessed Sacrament as a project coming up. Anything else that you have coming up that you can talk about, or just some stuff that's just in the background right now?
I mean, just a bunch of writing stuff. I have a show that I have sold to Peacock called Après Ski that I'm working on with them. And then I have another show called Good Girl that I sold to Whip, they did Task and Mayor of Easttown. So they're an incredible company. And we're working on that together. And yeah, that's about it.